Hello, everyone, and welcome to Walking Dead Now. This is Viz coming at you tonight, welcoming everybody as they fill into the room here. Thanking all you guys for joining me here tonight for another Dead Talk live session where we discuss The Walking Dead and all things horror related. I can see you guys piling into the room. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Before we get started, I just want to make a little announcement tonight, and that is that we are officially going to be putting up a podcast. I'm almost done with it. It should be going live on Apple in the next day or so. The only thing I have left to do is just to complete uploading all the videos. It's going to be a video podcast. So if any of you guys out there are into podcasts and you enjoy watching them, this is not just going to be an audio podcast. It's going to be a video podcast. Even our live streaming sessions like we're having tonight, they're all going to be included. So you guys can play it back whenever you want. So I just wanted to make that announcement. Hopefully it'll be live here no later than 48 hours from now. So thank you for joining me tonight, and I have a very special guest with us tonight. This is a longtime friend of mine. His name is Efrain. I'm going to give you guys his information right here. Known him my whole life, and he is one of the most solid Walking Dead fans out there in all things related to horror. So we should have a very interesting conversation tonight about his theories on what's happened, what's going to happen, what he thinks is, how it's going to all turn out, how is it going to end, how are we going to transition from the Whisperers into the Commonwealth. So let me go ahead and welcome Efrain to the show. How are you doing, Efrain?
Hey, good evening. Hello, everyone.
All right, everybody say hello to Efrain. So let's just get right to it, all right? What do you think of this season so far? Now, I know you've read some of the comics, so going into this season, we're like one episode away from we're one episode left for the rest of the season. Has this season met your expectations, exceeded your expectations, or is it just underwhelming for you?
A little bit of both. I it's kind of gone along the path of the comics, and at the same time, it's strayed a bit. Some of it was kind of obvious, like the whole, the way Alpha was murdered by Negan. I mean, you saw that coming a mile away. But at the same time, you did. Come on, you knew it was coming.
Yeah,
the whole time.
Yeah,
You're like,
yeah.
okay, when's he taking her head? You're the whole time. You're just wondering, when's it coming? When's it coming?
Exactly.
But they dragged it a little too long, and in a way, that's almost what caused the real finale from ever being shown, and that pissed me off a bit.
Yeah,
to tell the truth.
But when it finally did happen, were you satisfied the way?
Absolutely.
So you were satisfied how Negan took out Alpha.
I was, and I'm really happy that Carol was involved in the whole thing too. I mean, Carol rules, man.
Man, she does rule. I love Carol, but man, when it was her time to live up to her end of the bargain and bring Negan back and explain to everybody what he did on her behalf, she completely backed. I mean, that pissed me off. She left him hanging.
You gotta understand, there's hurt feelings there. This is a guy who beat one of her friends to death right in front of him, and actually two of them.
Yeah.
There's always going to be hurt feelings there. Come on.
I understand that. I totally get that. So the second question that everybody has been, trying to figure out is, who do you think is going to take out Beta? Okay, in the comic books, it's Aaron. Aaron is the one that takes out Beta. I don't think that's how it's going to play out on the TV show. So my question to you is, who do you think in the TV side of it, who's going to be the one that takes out Beta?
my opinion is Daryl. They have unfinished business.
I agree.
Remember, they had that huge fight, and it was unfinished.
Yeah, I agree. Daryl pushed him down an elevator shaft, and Beta just got up, and it was like nothing to him. You know what I mean? Daisy K.
That's like the Undertaker.
Yeah, Daisy K says she agrees it's going to be Daryl. I think it's going to be Daryl. I've heard suggestions ranging from Lydia, but Lydia weighs about 100 pounds soaking wet, while the Jolly Green Giant is a good 300 plus pounds. So unless she gets a stoop ladder and gets up and cuts his head off, I don't really see that happening. So
the guy's like the Undertaker. Come on, he got thrown down an elevator shaft and just got up and walked away.
He does look like the Undertaker. So what other, if we're going back and we're talking about through the last 10 seasons, I kind of asked this from everybody, and I want to get your take on it. Whose death disappointed you the most? Not how it happened, but the fact that they got killed off. Which character do you miss the most?
That's a tough question, man.
It is a tough question. We've lost a lot of favorites over the years, and there's a huge pool to pick from.
Probably Andrea.
Andrea. Oh, so you are an Andrea lover. There are not that many Andrea lovers out there.
Well,
there are a lot of haters out there.
Here's the thing. She plays such a vital role in the comics, and they killed her off so early in the show that nothing that really as important as Michonne has been, Andrea's probably just as important, if not more, in the comics, and you don't really see that in the show at all.
Yeah, and the actress who played Andrea, Laurie Holden, was extremely pissed off that when she found out that they were going to be killing her off. I mean, she was pissed off because in the comics, Andrea doesn't die until right now where we're at. She doesn't die until the end of the Whisperer War.
And Daisy K mentions Carl. That pissed me off too. She's absolutely right. I didn't like seeing Carl die. It was unnecessary, because then you figure it's going to be Carl or Rick, and then.
I got to stop you right there, and that leads me to another question. You say it's unnecessary, but do you see any other way where Rick spares Negan's life if it wasn't for Carl getting bit, dying, and before he died, writing those letters to everyone, begging his father to spare Negan, begging Negan to stop fighting? Do you really see any other path that Rick credibly spares Negan if Carl did not die? And if so, how?
Oh, Rick didn't kill Negan in the comics either.
Yeah, but then explain to us more in the comics. How did they? What made him in the comic books? What made Rick have that change of heart to spare Negan?
I think it all goes back to Herschel.
And him telling, basically Herschel preaching, live
Herschel
together.
preaching, we're not that far gone.
Yeah, but man, just think of what Rick had to endure from the time Herschel got killed by the governor, and then immediately running into Terminus, and their journey up to Washington, and all the crap, all the shit people that they've had to come across. I mean, do you really believe that Herschel's words were still ringing in the back of Rick's head somewhere?
Well, in the TV show, maybe, not in the comics.
Okay. So you think
Herschel wasn't as pivotal a character in the comics, first of all, but in the comics, I think basically it was more about establishing a system of law.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm thinking if it had happened in a TV show, I didn't see the point of Carl dying for that reason. You're establishing a system of law anyway. And really, my biggest problem with that was if Rick is gonna take if the actor is gonna take a hiatus, later on in the season anyway, why kill the kid off?
Yeah.
And not to mention, Carl was, he was a symbol of like the future.
Oh yeah. In fact, the comic books ended with Carl sitting
So,
on the porch with his daughter, hearing stories about her grandfather.
so when he goes, it's almost like, God, where's the future?
Yeah. Yeah.
But I
Okay.
guess the show's changed a lot of other things.
I go.
I mean, obviously you have Judith around, who's never around in the comics. She dies with Laurie in the comics also. So
Well,
I guess
not.
that's different too.
Yeah. Now she's becoming a major character. You know what I mean? Well, at least you're the first person who actually gave me a credible answer to that question. I've been asking you for days, and nobody can really come up with a credible answer besides the fact that they hate the fact that Carl died. Is, well, how would you have done it? If you just go by the TV show, and that's what we're really talking about here. I mean, if we put the comics aside for a second and we just focus on the TV show, I really don't see any other way that Rick would spare Negan's life if it wasn't for Carl dying. And according to the showrunners, that's the answer they will give you if you ask them why they wrote Carl off the show. So,
I don't agree with that at all. I mean, I got to
yeah,
tell you, to me, it wasn't a good enough an
yeah.
excuse.
And going by what you said about what Herschel said, I mean, they would. I mean, that's going back to season 4. So that's a whole four
Uh,
seasons worth of writing that they would have had to have done completely differently, where we would see Rick and the way he behaves, seeing the imprint that Herschel left on him coming out through Rick's action. And you're right, in the TV show, they totally went the opposite direction. In the TV show, I felt they took it like after Herschel died, Rick just took on the responsibility of looking out for Herschel's daughters, Beth and Maggie, and he felt responsible
yeah,
for them. And that look on his face in the hospital when Beth took that bullet, that he just froze. He just froze, and it
yeah,
was Daryl. Daryl was the one that went into action, immediately pulled out his gun and shot, that cop right in the head, because he couldn't believe it, He felt the responsibility that it was his job to take care of Herschel's daughters. So, yeah, I can totally see, how the writing that started right from where Herschel died to right when Carl died, it would have to have been completely redone. And then maybe I can spare Negan's life based on what Herschel has taught him. So that's a very good point, and thank you so much for that.
yeah. You're welcome.
So, going into, we talked about who do you miss the most. Which character were you the most happiest to see, get the axe? Who's your least favorite character that you liked, getting knocked off
uh,
here on the show?
that's, a,
You know?
that's another tough question. I mean, there's been a couple of annoying ones that
For
deserved
me,
it.
for me, I enjoyed the governor dying. Because
Yeah, I mean, that was gratifying. That was just gratifying.
yeah, I mean, I see, you see, as I said on last night's show, the governor is just a psychopath. Okay?
Yeah,
Negan is not a psychopath. He was a person who just was repressing his emotions, and his way of reacting was to be an a-hole. But the governor was a complete psychopath. He had no emotions, he had no feelings, and we saw that, when he killed all of his people after they ran away from the prison. And they said, you know what, screw them. We don't, let them have their prison. They're not bothering us. We don't need to bother them. Oh no, that was not good enough for him. And he mowed them all down. You know, that's one of the,
yeah.
I,
I
that
mean, he
moment,
was he was soulless. He didn't care who died.
exactly,
He didn't so long as he got his way.
yeah. And him being adrift when we see him again, like in the mid-season where he meets Tara and he's just adrift, he's just done. And he runs into a new bunch of people, puts together a new group, kills off people so he can take over that group. And what does he do? The first thing he does when he gets a little bit of power back, he goes right back to the prison. So I deeply enjoyed watching the governor get killed by Michonne.
Yeah.
She stabbed him and left him to turn. That was her intention. And then it was the girl, the woman that he basically manipulated, and she's the one that came over to him as he was just bleeding to death on the ground there and put a bullet into his head. That was very satisfying. You know what I mean?
It was, for me, it was just as gratifying to watch Shane die as well, though.
You didn't like Shane, huh? No, well, I didn't like Shane either.
No.
No, yeah.
I mean, early Shane wasn't a psychopath. Late Shane was crazy. He was just a wild guy. I mean, he wasn't, at the beginning he wasn't so crazy. I think just once Rick came back into the picture, he went berserk.
Yeah, I see that. And going back to, talking about Shane here, and the reason why I always explain why either Rick or Shane had to die is because they were both alpha males. And you can't, those two guys, for the long term, trying to co-lead, or Rick being the leader, Shane was never going to be satisfied with that. He was not, I don't think Shane would have ever been satisfied being second in command to Rick. You know what I mean? And
I mean, at the same time, I don't know if you can call Shane an alpha male. An alpha male is usually somebody who's level-headed. He lost it. When you lost it, you can't. I wouldn't call somebody like that an alpha male. You're just a megalomaniac is more like it.
Yeah. I could see that. I could say he did snap. When they met up on the farm there, he killed. When they went on that run with that other guy, I forgot his name. I don't remember his name. And he killed him, and he came back to the group on the farm, started telling lies.
Yeah, that was the guy. That was the guy who accidentally shot Carl.
Yeah. And then he's, towards the final couple of episodes of season 2, he starts plotting for how he's going to take Rick out. He wants Lori back. He starts seeing Lori. He was seeing Lori and Carl. That's his family. That's his family. It's not Rick's family anymore. Rick should not be alive. Rick should have died in that hospital. And, yeah,
there was the guy who got Noah killed, too. The guy who got Noah killed, he got a pretty horrific death.
Nicholas, yes. He was, what a coward,
He deserved to get gutted the way he did.
Yeah. I mean, he took himself out, but, I mean, talk about a total piece of crap. He was a coward. He got Noah killed, and then he had the balls after he got Noah killed to plot to kill Glenn. And that backfired, and Glenn spared him because that's just the kind of character Glenn is. And then he became like, just tell me what to do, let me follow you, let me help you, let me, try to find a way to redeem myself and all that other crap. And, when they got trapped on top of that garbage can and Glenn was trying to calm him down and he lost it, turned around, put the gun to his head, took him out. And in a way, him killing himself saved Glenn at that moment. The way they landed on the ground, and what we all thought was Glenn being eaten by the zombies, it turned out to be Nicholas. So I agree with you. Watching Nicholas die, that was another very satisfying death. So
actually, who else I hated to watch, to hate go so soon? It was a character who died at the prison. Was his name T-Bone?
Yeah, you talking about the prisoner?
No, he was he was with them since season 2, since season 1.
I remember. You're right. I just don't remember his name either. How did he
basically died instead of Carol. He got eaten, man. He got devoured.
Yeah.
You never saw him devoured. He got devoured off screen, but they never They never even found his remains.
Yeah, yeah, like Lori. Lori supposedly her body just disappeared, and they showed
Yeah,
Rick.
you wonder what happened to Lori's body.
Yeah,
That was
well,
weird.
Rick goes back, and if you remember, he goes back to see where she's at. Her body's just completely gone, and he sees this zombie laying on the floor with his belly looks like he has two basketballs stuffed in it. And I'm like thinking to myself, is she really dead? For the longest time there, I'm like thinking, is she really dead? Because I mean, so as far as the whole zombie lore goes, I don't think they eat bones. You know what I mean?
I
I
know.
mean, there was
I know.
nothing left of her, and they've never explained that. They never explained what happened to Laurie's body. They just want us to believe that that walker consumed all of her, including her bones, which it's not very believable. You know what I
It's
mean?
impossible.
It's impossible. And there have been rumors up until this day about them bringing her back. And the question is, if she does even come back, who is she going to come back to? There's nobody left. Rick is dead.
It's true.
Carl is dead. She's going to be a worthless character. So,
By the way,
yeah.
the character's name was T-Dog.
T-Dog. Oh, of course, T-Dog. Yeah. Yeah, I didn't like his death either. He was a very good character. And, you know, he was closing that gate and he got bit. But he kept on going, and then he was just completely overtaken after that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I hear you. So let's kind of switch beats here a little bit, and I'm gonna switch it over and I'll do this very cheesy. This is gonna sound very cheesy to you, but I'm gonna ask you these questions like they would on The Walking Dead. So just bear with me here, okay? Just stay with me, okay? First question is,
Okay.
have you seen it in your lifetime? Have you at least seen 100 horror movies or more?
Like 100,000.
Okay. Now, which one is your favorite?
Oh God.
Hey, Jack.
I I don't know.
Oh, just pick one.
I mean, gee, it's a tough question, man. I mean, I
It's
love so many of them.
a big one.
I'm gonna go with the original Evil Dead.
The original Evil Dead. Third question,
Yeah.
as they would ask on The Walking Dead, why? Why the Evil Dead? Which scared the shit out of me, by the way, too. I love that movie, the original one. But
Yeah, I mean, when I was old,
yeah,
imagine a 6-year-old watching The Evil Dead. I was like, I didn't wet myself.
that's going back to the days before, CGI and all these great tools that movie makers have today, where I don't know if any of our viewers have ever seen the original Evil Dead. It's a very scary movie. And
People nowadays would think it's comical with the effects, but when back in those days, it was scary.
it was scary. And let me tell you, the people that, those makeup artists that had to do that, all that makeup to those actors, I mean, they earned their money. You know what I mean? It wasn't done behind a computer screen. Those actors had to sit, in front of those makeup artists for hours and hours before each scene for those guys to apply their craft. There was no CGI. There was no, any other generated images to work
Yeah,
with.
it was all latex and fake blood. That's all it was.
Exactly. The Evil Dead. That's a great movie. That has to be one of my favorites too. Along with the classics of like the original Halloween, the movies. Growing up on.
I was just watching the original Halloween earlier today.
Yeah. So, what do you think of they're coming out with Halloween Kills this year, then Halloween Ends next year, which is
I
good.
just hope they don't.
Okay, but the way I see the movie they have titled Halloween Ends, I give that about as much credibility as the title they gave Friday the 13th Part 4, the final chapter.
Yeah, it never ends. How many times has it ended now?
It's never going to end. It's going to be 20 years from now, and they're going to still be making Halloween movies. And the way they've done it is they can make a Halloween movie, and they can say, okay, with this Halloween movie, you have to forget that Halloween so and so is so and so and so and so never happened in order for you to watch this movie and see how it fits into the plot line. You know what I mean? So that's become very popular, with this one, the one that came out in 2018. They said, okay, after the original Halloween, even Halloween 2 that came out a couple of years after the original, you have to disregard them. Disregard them all. You just got to take the original, and now the 2018 version, that's the real sequel. Which, the 2018 one was an amazing movie. I mean, it's my second favorite in the Halloween franchise.
It was. I wish they would have let it end there,
Carpenter said he does not, and that's what Jamie Lee Curtis said. She said, I'm not doing another one. John Carpenter said, I'm not doing another one. So I guess they must have really offered him a really sweet deal to come back, especially JamieLee Curtis to come back.
Well, the movie makes so much money, that's why.
Exactly. It was very popular. It was a very good movie. It was a John Carpenter movie, and, I guess they gave her, offered her a deal she just could not refuse. You know what I'm saying? So I know the answer to this question, but I'm going to ask you so our viewers can hear it as well. What genre horror movie is your favorite? Paranormal, slasher, zombie. Which is your favorite?
You can go. I mean, I love zombie movies. They're probably my favorite.
Yeah, that's the answer I knew that you told me over and over again. So I was wondering if maybe it's changed over the last.
But some paranormal movies, I mean, they're getting creative. I'll tell you. I saw a movie the other day called The Wailing. It's a Korean movie. Probably the most creative movie I've seen in the last few years.
Hey, Nettie, waving back at you. There are so many great independent international horror movies out there, from Korea to Indonesia. And I have seen some of them, some of them are on Netflix, and they're great. They're great. I don't know if you've seen The Kingdom on Netflix.
I have. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's an amazing show, and that's mainstream now. I'm talking about like the independent movies that don't get any kind of marketing, and you just watch it just to give it a chance, and it turns out to be amazing. I mean, the paranormal genre is my favorite, The Conjuring, going all the way back to my childhood in Amityville, House of Horror, the Amityville Horror House with Margot Kidder. I mean, that's where it all started with me. The Shining with Jack Nicholson, and to this day, I mean, if I see a movie, if I'm bored and I'm browsing and, if it's labeled with anything kind of paranormal, I will watch it, even if it sucks. I will watch it. I will give it a chance.
Every once in a while you come across good stuff too, like I saw they remade Suspiria.
Jack Brennan is asking who I am interviewing. Jack, I am interviewing a longtime friend of mine. I think we've lost the screen. It went dark on my phone here where I had his info up. Instagram user is at e.rodriguez.74. Let me repeat that. It's Instagram user e.rodriguez.74. His name is Efrain. If you want to go and follow him, that's his Instagram username. And I'm interviewing him because he's a lifelong horror fan, zombie fan, Walking Dead fan, and we just have him on the show tonight for his insight. And we're getting a bunch of that tonight. So going back to the paranormal thing, paranormal genre.
I was mentioning I was mentioning they recently remade Suspiria, and if you've had a chance to see that,
Yeah.
and that's really, I mean, they did a really good job of remaking it. And the original is a classic.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, nothing can compare to the original, but they did a pretty decent job with it.
I'm going to list you a movie that we
And
actually saw together a long, long time ago in the movie theaters. That was amazing. Do you remember Event Horizon?
oh yeah,
I mean, Event Horizon with Sam Neill. If you guys have not seen that movie, I highly recommend you watch it.
it's just
With Lawrence
love that movie.
Fishburne, and Sam Neill, and it's a space movie, but it's a paranormal space movie, and it is absolutely amazing. It is scary as hell. And it's called Event Horizon, and I'm recommending it if you guys want to go out there and watch that. So, there have been a lot of great ones over the years. Anyway, Efrain, I want to thank you so much for joining me
Thank you
tonight.
for having me on.
Say that again?
Thank you for having me on.
Oh, no problem. No problem. Thank you for sharing all that with us. It's been amazing, and we want to get you back on. Hey, hello, I am 5H. How are you doing? We've had a lot of people come in and out of this session as we were talking. This show is going to be archived on by tomorrow, so you guys can rewatch it. Any people who were not able to join us live can watch the whole show or rewatch it, share it. It's completely up to you guys. You guys can go ahead and subscribe to our channel on YouTube. The link is in our bio. And like I mentioned in the beginning of this show, our podcast is going to be coming out soon. The name of the podcast is called Stay Walking. It's going to be a video podcast that will have all our videos, all of our live streams, commentaries, everything. And I'm really excited about it. I will announce when it becomes live on Apple. It is actually live on some of the other podcast clients right now, but I'm not done uploading all the videos yet. I'm hoping to get that done by tonight, at tomorrow at the latest. But I will announce it on here. I will announce it on Instagram. I will announce it on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, everywhere once the podcast becomes live. I did put a link on our YouTube channel, which, like I said, the link is in our bio. So if you go to our YouTube channel, and you will see a link for the podcast website where you can see the feed. But like I said, it's not ready yet. There's only 3 videos on there right now, and it's not done. But it should be done by tomorrow at the latest. So, Efrain, again, thank you so much for joining us. I want to say thank you to all our streaming viewers who joined us tonight. Thank you for spending your time with us. And we will catch you the next time, which will probably be tomorrow. And in fact, it will be tomorrow. And tomorrow we are going to have another special guest, another big horror fan, and another big Walking Dead fan. Between the 9 and 10 p.m. hour. So I'll look forward to seeing you guys then. And until then, stay walking, guys.